kizira ibiyobyabwenge. Rubyiruko nimwe musingi ukomeye w'igihugu. Radio Imanzi 105.1 FM.
We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
This is Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. President Evariste Ndayishimiye of Burundi today received a message from President Pau Kagame. World Consumer Rights Day raises a global awareness about the rights and needs of consumers. 2 projects have been launched with an aim to improve learning outcomes. Russia has circulated a proposed UN Security Council resolution. Now the news in detail. President Evariste Ndayishimiye of Burundi today received a message from President Pau Kagame. According to Burundi's State House, this was as the Burundian president received a high-level Rwandan delegation led by Minister of Defense Major General Albert Murasira in the capital, Gitega. Murasira was carrying President Pau Kagame's message. The 2 countries are working to restore good bilateral ties. Relationships between Rwanda and Burundi have been frosty for the better part of the last 6 years, but both sides recently moved to improve ties with a series of high-level bilateral meetings between political as well as military and security officials. General Jean Bosco Kazura, Chief of Defense Staff of Rwanda Defense Force, is in Paris at the invitation of his French counterpart, General Thierry Boucard. General Kazura, who is in the country until Thursday, leads the RDF delegation that includes Head of Defense Intelligence, Brigade General Vincent Nyakarundi, Head of International Military Cooperation, Brigade General Patrick Karuretwa, and the RDF Chief Operations and Training Colonel Chrysostom Jendahimana. General Kazura made his host on the first day of the visit, during which various security dynamics were discussed. Every year on March 15th, World Consumer Rights Day raises global awareness about the rights and needs of consumers. In partnership with Rwanda Inspectorate Competition and CP Authority and other stakeholders, Rwanda Utilities and Regulations Authorities organized a one-day event to celebrate World Consumers Day under the theme Fair Digital Finance. Director of Market Contract Department at Central Bank, Jared Sabimana, said in the past businesses were tending to be profit-driven, but forget that the profits are maximized because customers have consumed the products and services, and if not satisfied, they will not actually consume to their fullest.
The transparency here, we are saying here, should also be extended. As you know, there are some products that are innovative by nature in our banking system, so what we call digital loans. So the transparency also should touch on those other products, so that if you are going to apply for a digital loan, you know what are the requirements, what are the processing procedures, so what are the timelines to get that loan, and probably what are the payment modalities. So in addition to that, so we are saying again, using your mobile money, so your accounts should be protected. So it means, so when there is an error that is caused by probably the mobile money remitted or Airtel, So, and an error probably is taking away your money. So you should be refunded very quickly. So, and probably if there is any fraud, it should be investigated, and you are refunded and compensated. So by the coming up of digital loans, we saw three important issues that I can mention here. So one is that we are still observing that digital loans are somehow very expensive. I don't know whether you see it. So, but again, this one is caused by the rate of default. So if you go to digital loans specifically, you find that these loans are normally expensive, but again, the rate of default is still very, very high. So as we fight this rate of default, I think probably their prices should be in the future reduced. So the other thing that is attached to digital loan, in some countries, not only in Rwanda, you find that people tend to be over-indebted. So they take too much loans with them, and probably at the end of the day, they face some challenges in paying those loans. So if we are going for digital, we should also be responsible to take those loans that you are able to pay and manage. So we are also saying that financial service providers providing advertisements of digital products should be responsible to tell the consumer the benefits, but at the same time the risks associated with those products, and probably leave the consumer with the right probably to opt out if he does not want probably to continue to receive those advertisements. So as it was said by the previous speakers, we are also saying that for consuming digital financial services, the financial service providers should leave out the channels for consumers to be able to make some complaints. So if you are not satisfied with the services you are receiving, let the financial service provider give you the channel through which you can lodge your complaint, and probably your complaint should be able to be solved in a timely manner. We are also urging financial service providers. I saw SACCOs, I saw representatives of banks and microfinance institutions that while we are transacting digitally with consumers, so we should ensure that we provide a platform to them so that we can track their satisfaction levels. So we should periodically conduct some surveys to see whether consumers are really satisfied by our services or not. So lastly, but not the least, so we are also urging financial service providers to be able to empower their consumers. So
Director Nsabimana speaking. Two projects worth 49.8 billion Rwandan francs have been launched with an aim to improve learning outcomes, especially in Kinyarwanda in pre-primary and lower primary schools, as well as local communities countrywide. Known as Tunoze Gusoma for schools and systems and Uburezi Iwacu for homes and communities, the 5 projects are funded by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. Both projects emphasize the fact that learning does not only take place at schools, but also in the homes and communities in which children live. The youth who are starting the National Civic Training in Rusizi District have pledged to make sure that all school dropouts return to school. The group also stated that they would assist in resolving the issue of homelessness. The group began the trainings with the construction of houses for 9 orphans who are caring for themselves. Mayor of Rusizi District, Dr. Chibiriga Anseti, praised the group for their dedication and stated that they had many expectations of them, including mobilizing residents to get vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus. Students at Miyovi Secondary School in Gicumbi District have complained about having lunch in the classrooms despite the fact that the dining room construction has been completed but unused for 2 years. According to the school's headmaster, Hakizimana Jean-Marie Vianney, they're waiting for the dining hall's equipment to be installed before it can be used. Owners of property damaged by construction of power lines and water system in Gwimiyaga sector in Nyagatare district have not received compensation for 10 years. The director of Rwanda Energy Group in Nyagatare district, Niyonkuru Benoit, says they were unaware of this issue, but they will follow up with the local authorities to ensure these people are compensated.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
A year ago this month, President of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, assumed office with a full agenda, a pledge not only to fight the pandemic and support economic recovery, but also to rebuild the economy to produce long-term and more widely shared growth. Believing that creating a friendly business environment would provide a room for shaping the country's economy, President Hassan, in her maiden speech to Parliament, articulated the need for the government to regain investors' confidence. She has done that by undertaking crucial visits and meetings which were expected to influence the trading partnership with the rest of the globe. Cyclone Gombe has flooded large areas of northern and central Mozambique, killing 15 people and injuring 50 more. Gombe is the most recent of a series of cyclones that have hit southern Africa so far this year. Most of the fatalities occurred when the cyclone first hit Mozambique's northern coast, and its strong winds and rains have caused many houses to collapse. Ilha District Administrator Mohamed Ali said that due to widespread flooding, many residents are desperate and the local government is using boats to provide relief as it is not possible to reach people on foot or by car. Cyclone Gombe weakened over the weekend but continued to batter northern and central Mozambique with rain and strong winds. Virtually all rivers in the area have reached alert levels and many roads have become impassable. Ethiopia's Tigray and neighboring regions are still facing a humanitarian crisis made worse by a continuing blockade and sporadic violence. A situation update by the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs this week said only a small percentage of people in need have been reached, as most access roads to Tigray remain blocked. According to the report, most of Tigray remained highly restricted and that the security situation is extremely volatile, compromising the security and safety of the population and aid workers, impeding relief operations on a permanent basis. For that, aid workers have only managed to enter the region for life-saving operations. Russia has circulated a proposed UN Security Council resolution demanding protection for civilians in vulnerable situations in Ukraine and safe passage for humanitarian aid and people seeking to leave the country, but it makes no mention of Russia's responsibility for the war against Ukraine. The draft resolution expresses grave concern at the deteriorating humanitarian situation and reports of civilian casualties in and around Ukraine. It endorses UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres' call for dialogue and negotiations and calls for a negotiated ceasefire to rapidly evacuate all civilians, and underscores the need for the parties concerned to agree on humanitarian pauses to this end. According to a Russian diplomat, the draft could be put to a vote as early as Wednesday.
Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi.
Today's trading session recorded 21,775,840 rand and francs worth of bonds traded in 12 deals on the fixed income market, and 562,500 rand and francs from 12,500 shares traded in one deal on the equities market. I&M Bank counter closed at 45 rand and francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 562,500 rand and francs from 12,500 shares traded in one deal. Berga closed the counter at 125 rand and francs. Bank of Kigali at 250 rand and francs. Simerga at 120 rand and francs. MTN Rwanda at 180 rand and francs. Equity Bank at 440 rand and francs. Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 rand and francs. National Media Group at 1,200 rand and francs. Uchuri Supermarket at 104 rand and francs. And RH Buffalo closed the counter at 526 rand and francs as the market closed. The currency market review of today. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.8 rand and francs, and the selling price was 8.9 rand and francs. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43 rand and francs, and the selling price was 0.44 rand and francs. Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.27 rand and francs, and the selling price was 0.28 rand and francs. Burundian franc buying price was 0.49 rand and francs, and the selling price was 0.5 rand and francs. The US dollar buying price was 1,006 rand and francs, and the selling price was 1,027 rand and francs. The British pound buying price was 1,313 rand and francs, and the selling price was 1,339 rand and francs. The euro buying price was 1,105 rand and francs, and the selling price was 1,127 rand and francs. Today's weather forecast from the Rwanda Meteorology Department. From 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning, it is expected to be mostly cloudy in all parts of the country. The average wind speed expected is of between 3 meters per second and 4 meters per second. The minimum temperature is to be 11 degrees Celsius tomorrow morning in Nyabihu district. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.